Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Radio Ramadan on EAVA 102.5 FM. I'm your host this morning, Old is Gold, and we're talking to a very, very special guest this morning. I hope you're enjoying Ramadan. It's certainly going very, very quickly at this moment in time, and I'm really pleased that we've got such fantastic weather today. It's a bright, sunny morning. Everything's really quiet on Evington Road. It really seems quiet. I was here last night at 1 a.m. and it was hustling and bustling, so many people. Everybody must still be in bed, asleep, fast asleep, I think. But please wake up. We've got a very, very important guest with us this morning. And I would say he's an international star, international actor of some kind. And you've obviously heard of Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan. Leicester, we have our own Zubair, brother Zubair Hassam. So welcome to the show, brother Zubair.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Brother Zubair, you were on this iconic, I would call it iconic, because so many people were talking about it at the time, and it went viral across the world. The famous advert, Christmas advert for Amazon, and we will talk about that in a few moments. But how did you first of all end up in Leicester? How did you come to Leicester?
First and foremost, alhamdulillah, I came from Malawi originally. My parents and our family immigrated to the UK in 1976. So it's a while.
So you've been here a long time.
A long time, just over 45 years.
45 years. So you came to Leicester, and how old were you? How did you find Leicester when you first came to Leicester? It must have been totally different to what it looks like now.
Of course, a total shock for us. Obviously, Malawi was not developed as the UK, and things were very different. From where the background we've come from, and to come to the United Kingdom where it's a different lifestyle altogether, it was a shock to our system.
It was a total shock, was it?
Total shock.
In what sense? Was it because it was so modern, or you found that everything was easier or more difficult? Or what was the challenges? How did you feel about that?
Modern is one of the things that it was, definitely. Challenging in the sense that the halal industry, halal food was not that easily available at the time. And there was very few masjids in the city at the time. If I can remember correctly, there was probably two at the time.
Two or three, yes.
Yes.
So you found it really difficult because you would have to walk to the mosque or travel to the mosque, and you found it difficult, halal food. There wasn't that many options.
There wasn't that many options. No.
I mean, now if you just look on Evington Road, there's so many options. You can. There's at least over 20 different restaurants you can walk into, albeit they might be very busy during iftari time, but they are available.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
So what did you study? Did you go to university?
Yes, I when I came, I was only around 12. So I went and studied at Moat Community. It was Moat Boys at the time. So I studied at Moat Boys for a couple of years. And then I went on to college. At that time, it was Charles King College.
Okay, so Moat Boys wasn't actually Moat College as it is now. It was actually where a mosque is and the health centre is.
That's
Is that right?
place. Yeah, that's it. That's
so that was actually Moat Boys was your secondary school?
Yes, correct.
Wow, okay. So you grew up in the heart of Highfields.
I did. In fact, I challenged the teachers at the time. I wanted to go for Friday prayers. And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I need to go for my Friday prayers." He said, "You won't have it." No. So, but I did, alhamdulillah. I went and I got a Ken for that.
Whoa! So you paid a heavy price.
Heavy price.
Heavy price. I mean, look. It just shows you how much things have changed.
It has.
People were unaware of what Friday prayers were.
Exactly.
And now, if you look at Leicester, there must be 30,000, 40,000 people that go to Friday prayers on Fridays.
And most of the schools got facilities in-house for Friday prayers. I think I probably set the president at the time for Friday prayers. Alhamdulillah.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So I know that you were involved in one of the first halal fish and chip shops. What made you do that, and how, or where was it? And how busy were you? You must have been busy because there was no shops at that time.
Alhamdulillah. I was around 16 years old when and studying at college. My parents and we lived in Biddle Street at the time, not very far off St. Peter's Road. I remember one evening my dad asked me to go and buy fish and chips. I went down on Laurel Road, where Shazmin is. Bought a fish and chips from there, took it home, and my dad said, this doesn't look good. It doesn't smell right. I don't think it's halal, but just for peace of mind, go to the shop and ask him what he fried it in. So I went back to the shop, and he says, we used beef dripping.
Whoa,
And
okay.
that
so
was the
straight
shock.
away.
Yes. Obviously, it's not halal. We threw it away. Few days down the road, there was a chip shop on Roslyn Street, which is not very far from Biddle Street as
Yes.
well. A small label on the window, for sale. My parents approached the owner, and we bought that fish and chip shop and converted it into the first halal fish and chips in
So
Leicester.
you are the pioneers of the first halal fish and chips.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. My family, including my parents, my eldest sister was one of the first person to serve behind the counter.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So even for women's rights, you were there because she was the first probably female Asian woman to be serving in a shop.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yes.
If you want to call into the studio, our telephone number is 0116 212 9324. We're talking to Brother Zubair, the famous Amazon Imam. And also you can text us on 07450 925 084. This is Radio Ramadan on EAVA 102.5 FM. So you've set up the first fish and chip shop. You must have been busy. You must have been incredibly busy at the time.
Initially, it was very hard to convince the people what the difference between halal and haram. But I think because we started the trend of halal fish and chips, where we brought in pure vegetable oil to fry the fish and the chips, and we were the first people to introduce chili powder on chips.
Wow.
So can you imagine in the early 70s, in the early 80s especially, we became very famous.
I don't want to talk too much about food because you're making me hungry now, Zubair Bhai, and I'm sure the listeners out there are going to be hungry thinking of chips and chili powder and everything else. But so, and then what next? What was the next step in your incredible life?
Alhamdulillah, between my family, we then decided to increase our business, and we bought another fish and chip shop on East Park Road. Also, it's right opposite the Imperial Typewriter.
So you were becoming the halal McDonald's almost in some ways in Leicester at that time in the late 70s, 80s.
In fact, I was one of the first persons to do halal doner kebab in Leicester.
Okay.
So that's the first trend we set. And the early days, I actually went to a Cypriot to learn how to do doner kebab.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. And also, I think you were also another pioneer in something else as well. In 1986, you went for Hajj as well, didn't you? Why was that different?
That was a different trip because it was the first time from Leicester we decided to go by road all the way to Makkah al-Mukarram.
All the way to Saudi Arabia?
All the way, alhamdulillah.
So you actually drove from Leicester to Medina?
Yes.
Or Makkah?
To Medina first.
To Medina first?
Yes.
Oh, that must have been an incredible journey back in 1986. Did your car actually...
We bought a Volkswagen camper with a built-in toilet inside, a cooker inside, which expands to have some beds as well inside. And alhamdulillah, our journey from Leicester, Dover to Ostend, Belgium, then Germany, Austria, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Turkey, Syria, Jordan, and then into Halat Amar and into Medina. Alhamdulillah.
And how many days did that take you?
We were traveling as we were going everywhere,
Yeah.
and it took us 3 weeks to get to Medina.
3 weeks?
3 weeks,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
And
it's 9 hours, probably 8 or 9 hours by air now.
By air, yes.
But so it took you 3 weeks, and how many of you went?
This was a record. It was myself, my wife, my boy, my son Haji. He was 10 months when we left. My brother and his wife, my mum and dad, and my auntie who was 70 years old.
Wow! So the camper van was certainly full.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Very good, very good.
And what an interesting journey that wherever we stopped, whether it was in Europe or at any point where we parked our car, we were welcomed as guests.
That's amazing. So you obviously feel very fondness towards Europe because you must have travelled through Europe. So you didn't feel alienated. You didn't feel anything.
Not at all. Alhamdulillah, we were welcomed everywhere in Europe, and with my parents being old, but mashallah, we had no issues whatsoever in Europe. Yes, in order to get all the visas for all the places, I had to travel to London prior to get visas from all the countries. And alhamdulillah, everyone gave us the visas. And as I said, that as we traveled by road, to get the visas from Saudi embassy was very difficult. But alhamdulillah, the imam at the Regent's Park Mosque helped me to get the visas.
It's amazing. You couldn't do that now. You would struggle to get all the visas now.
Yes.
I think you would struggle to go by road to Makkah or Medina now.
Yes,
really.
definitely.
But really pioneering spirit. Really taking a challenge. That was quite a large challenge for you to do. A lot of messages coming in. Yaya Patel joined us. Rahima Sheikh joined us. Shahid Latif joined us. Shahid Latif sends a message. Wonderful show. Thank you, Shahid Bhai. I appreciate it. Rahima Karatella. Salams, great show. Love hearing my family history. She's part of your family then, obviously.
Yes, she is. Alhamdulillah. That's my niece.
Very, very good. So if you want to call into the show, our telephone number is 0116 212 9324. Text number is 07450 925084. You're listening to Radio Ramadan on EAVA 102.5 FM. So we're listening to our show, and our special guest today is Brother Zubair Hassam from Oadby, and he is the Amazon Imam, world famous Amazon Imam, and I do mean world famous. So you did this great journey to Hajj, amazing, and wonderful way to do this, really, in 1986.
And the cream of this is that we were allowed to go to Masjid Aqsa by road on the way back.
On the way back?
Alhamdulillah.
So you did two fantastic pilgrimages.
We went to Masjid Aqsa on the way back, and then from Masjid Aqsa we returned back home safely. We did just over 10,500 miles without a single puncture on the car. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Very good, very good.
Alhamdulillah.
We go from Leicester to Coventry and we get a puncture, and you went to Leicester to Mecca and you didn't get a puncture.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
It was written.
Alhamdulillah. And we were blessed in every way. And mashallah, we were the first people to do our Qurbani on site in Mina, cut it, slaughtered the Qurbani, and we cooked it ourselves in our camper. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. And I'm sure you enjoyed the feast afterwards as well.
Alhamdulillah.
Very good. MashaAllah. Okay, we've got some more messages coming in. Dr. Shahid Latif, we would love to see Brother Zubair at another Amazon advert. We'll be talking about the Amazon adverts very shortly. But please get your questions in if there's anything you want to ask about the Amazon adverts that appeared not only in the UK but across the world. Our telephone number is 0116 212 9324. Our text number is 07450 925084. You're listening to Radio Ramadan on EAVA 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Zuffer Hack, and we're joined by Brother Zubair Hassam, the Amazon Imam. Brother Zubair, you moved in 1993 to Oadby, and you didn't sit back there either, did you?
No, alhamdulillah. When I came to Oadby, one of my first thing I looked at was the madrasa. And at that time, there was a madrasa running at Brookside Primary School under the leadership of Nazir Vindani. I went there to see whether I could help take my children there, but I wasn't too satisfied with the standard. So with working alongside with Nazir Bhai, I managed to be part of the management, and I grew the madrasa, mashallah.
And I know it's a very, very busy madrasa at that time, and I was aware of you being in Oadby, because there's quite a lot of people who are supporting you. I know Brother Nazir Vindani, the late Abid Sayani as well, and quite a few others were supporting you. But you were the main person in charge and being able to deliver a very good quality madrasa education for these children.
Alhamdulillah. We started to get busier gradually. When I was there was just about 17 students. Imagine in 1995, 96, it grew, and we now, mashallah, have over 170 children. And we changed the name. We didn't use the name madrasa. We used a school name, Muslim School Oadby, and hence one of the reasons we were accepted by the locals as well.
Yeah, because it was very strange for having facilities in a place like Oadby. It was
Yes.
relatively new. Very few Muslim families were there at that
Yeah,
time.
that's right.
But it's changed dramatically over the last 20 years since then,
Yes,
hasn't it?
alhamdulillah. Now I estimate more than 25,000 families living in the borough of Oadby and Wixton.
Yeah. There's huge number. It's
It's huge.
certainly changing demographics.
Yeah.
And you were also involved in many other projects as well, not just the mosque.
Alhamdulillah. I mean, one of my wishes was to get a masjid in Oadby, which we achieved after 15 years. Alhamdulillah. We now got a masjid alongside Sandhurst Street, Masjid Al-Amin. Besides that, I was involved with the Muslim Burial Council of Leicestershire. I was one of the brothers involved there. Apart from that, I was also involved with the setup of the HMC, the Halal Monitoring Committee as well,
Yeah.
in the early days with Sheikh bin Khalifa on that, alongside a lot of other brothers there. Besides that, alhamdulillah, Allah only gives this opportunity to some people, and I was one of that person who...
You've been involved in many organisations at the real early stages, and mashallah, you've done so well to improve life for lots of people over in Leicester and Leicestershire. And because at that time there was very few people who were able to do these things, and you were able to do them. You moved forward, and you actually made a difference. And I think we should really be proud of people like you, Brother Zubair, because you've done a lot of work. The mosque, the madrasas, the MB called Muslim Council for Burials here. So there's a huge positive you've brought to Leicester, and we're very glad to have people like you in Leicester. And we're very proud to have you here. What have you found that you thought that you could have done better, or you wanted to really change, and you really struggled at that time?
I think there wasn't enough manpower. There wasn't enough people who are dedicated to say we want to bring change to the community. But it took time, alhamdulillah, and even I was one of the youngest chair for the Muslim Qatari Association back in the days. And mashallah, today our community is thriving in Leicester with a number of our people in the community serving back in the community.
And actually, you've got a lot of halls, you've got a lot of facilities now that you've built up over those years, and that makes a huge difference to life for people in Leicester, especially people who are coming for the first time to Leicester.
Exactly.
Visiting or staying.
Yes. No, I mean, in fact, we now, the Muslim Qatari Association have two premises, one on Evington Road and one in Connaught Street where we started, Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah, very good. We've got some more messages coming in. Samia Haq, MashaAllah, really inspirational person, Brother Zubair. And we've got another listener joined us, Tariq Islam joined us. Thank you very much for listening into the show. Hope you can send us some questions. We've got another message coming in. Just wanted to point out Brother Zubair has done a fantastic job making our madrasa secure and taking the security concerns seriously in the last few months. A lot of madrasas need to realise they are dealing with children and need to improve their methods. Faraz Durrani.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I've noticed you've done that recently as well, haven't you?
That's right. Following the Christchurch incident, we decided to make some changes and bring in security at the mosque and madrasa. And alhamdulillah, with the support of the parents and the management of the masjid, we managed to do these changes. Alhamdulillah.
Absolutely excellent. Our telephone number to call in is 0116 212 9324, or you can send us a text message on 07450 925 084. You're listening to Radio Ramadan, EAVA 102.5 FM. You're listening to Brother Zubair, and I'm your host, Zuffer Haq. This is the Old is Gold show, and we're having a very interesting conversation with Brother Zubair this morning. And I want to ask now the next real big question. How did you end up as this iconic actor on this Amazon primetime TV advert that went across the world? It went into many countries.
Alhamdulillah. I was...
How did that actually start right from the beginning? How did you have a phone call from Amazon? Did they send you a text message? Did they find you on Twitter? What happened? How did they get hold of you?
What really happened is my son Bilal is involved with a lot of interfaith organizations, and he is the one who initiated all this. He sent me a message whilst he was at a conference to say the Amazon people are looking for somebody to feature in an ad, and I think you'll fit the bill. So he said, Dad, send me some pictures. Next thing I see, he requested from all my other siblings to say, have you got any photographs of Dad, which you can send over straight away. Within a couple of days, he got all our photographs sent to the Amazon chaps. Yes, the following Monday, I was requested to attend.
So did you get a phone call? Was it a message? What?
No, the message came from Bilal himself to say that they would like you to come for an audition on Monday. So I went to London for the audition.
Where was that? At the studio?
This is a studio in London. It was central located in London. And as I entered the studio, there was more than 100 people there.
Wow, so there was more than 100 imams?
More than 100 imams.
Whoa, okay.
Not just Muslim people. There were Sikh, there were Hindu, there were people from all backgrounds, dressed up as imams with a thobe and a hat on their head.
So it was a proper imam conference almost. And you came out?
Well, it so happens to be I sat right next to Gary, the priest who I was featured in the ad, and we were simply talking about our roles, what we do. And from that, I think the Amazon chaps must have picked something from behind the mirror to say, these guys look ideal for our show.
Yeah. So you were just talking to him and they thought, oh, their chemistry works.
Some chemistry works, yeah.
The chemistry works. So you made it through
so that was the first audition on a Monday, and we went into the studio, we talked for less than 2 minutes between us, we spoke, and they said, okay, thank you very much, we'll be in touch. I came home and I got a call the same evening to say, can you come back tomorrow, please, for another audition. So I went back the next day to London, and again, this time it was only myself. They asked me to do certain things, which I did for the advert, and then they said, okay, we'll be in touch. Before I reached home that same afternoon on the train, I had a phone call to say, we need you to come back once more on Thursday for another audition.
Were you getting fed up by this time?
Well, I said it might be a joke, but I said, you know what, give it a shot. Because the concept, when they told me what it was, and I think the biggest thing from this was to bring a good understanding between Christians and Muslims, and that was that was your drive. That was the core drive that gave me. See,
did you realize it was going to be so big and so global?
I didn't realize. No, not at all.
You had no indication
that
they were going to feature it in 30, 40 countries across the world, and it was going to be running every half an hour in many, many countries.
And all the television shows. I didn't know that, but alhamdulillah, you know what, the evening that it was going to be released on the Thursday, 16th of November, I even remember the date correctly, the Bishop of Leicester comes up to me and he comes personally to the mosque and he says, Zubair, I would like to congratulate you. And I'm thinking, what does he know that I don't know? And they got a message prior. This is happening tomorrow, is going live.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
We're coming up to a break, so we're going to talk about this after the break.
Okay.
You know, if you're listening in and you've got any questions, please send them in during the break, or any text messages. Our telephone number is 0116 212 9324. And our text number is 07450 925 084. We've got quite a few messages coming in as well. Umi Hassan, wonderful history. Sam, John Paul joined us. Sobia, Arif, Hussein, I love Brother Zubair. You're in Fact Club as well, Brother Zubair. Wow, I didn't know this. We'll have to discuss this after the break. And we've got another message coming in. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to you for making the difference in our early days and making life better for our future generations. Well said, and I think I agree with you 100% behind that. We're going to come back after the break in a few minutes, but you're listening to Radio Ramadan on EAVA 102.5 FM. I'm your host Zuffer Hack, and you're listening to Old is Gold, and we have Brother Zubair Hassan, the Amazon Imam, on our show. It's a very special show, and I'm grateful and honoured that Brother Zubair has come into the show. He's come locally, but he's an international star of Amazon and as well as TV now, and done many, many things. And we'll be talking to him about life after being so famous, after being in the same category as Amitabh Bachchan and many other international stars during that time. So please join us after the break. We're listening to Radio Ramadan on EVA 102.5 FM. So come and join us after the break. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to the show. You're listening to Old is Gold. I'm your host Zuffer, and we're joined by brother Zubair Hassan, the Amazon Imam. And you're listening to Radio Ramadan on 102.5 FM with EAVA FM. Our telephone number is 0116 212 9324, or you can send us a text message on 07450 925 084. You're listening to EAVA FM 102.5 FM. Brother Zubair, we were just talking earlier, just before we finished our break, that you did this Amazon advert and the Bishop of Leicester came to see you, especially, it'd be... how many countries with this advert actually was it playing in at that time?
It went all over the world, Europe, America, Canada, New Zealand, and obviously England. It played on every show. In fact, the biggest hit, I had a call from America. One of my cousins was there on a business trip, and he says he went to watch the football match, the American football. Right. And he says, there I was on the big screen.
On the big screen.
And people said, wow, this is something new, And obviously, alhamdulillah, the advert did make an impact on a lot of people.
And it was a very good advert because it really did show a collaboration, a sense of humanity between people from two totally different religions, being a Muslim and being a Christian, and how they interact and how they talked. And you run this dialogue quite a lot in your life anyhow. But it had a global impact, didn't it?
It did, alhamdulillah. This is something that I did for many years in the borough of Oadby and Wixton, which I've set an example to a lot of the masjids in the city as well, that we need to have a good relationship with our different faith leaders groups as well. And I think this is probably one of the reasons that when I did the advert, it was very natural for me to do this, you see. And as I say, it went very viral around the world. I was interviewed by many different televisions across the world, including Al Jazeera, which went worldwide. I had an Arabic translator as I was speaking in English. Yeah, and at that time they were telling me that there's more than 1 million people listening to that program.
So do you have your own fan club? Is there an international fan club, Zubair Hassan?
There might be one.
So how is this? Did all that exposure and all that international TV shows and everything else? How did that feel, and did it change your life in any way? When did you realize how big this was?
I only realized that it was such a big thing when a lot of people started sending me messages and emails. And on one flight, I was en route to Dubai. Actually, I was en route to Abu Dhabi, where the peace conference was, and I was invited to attend the peace conference just because of this advert.
Wow.
Yes, okay. Alhamdulillah. Sitting amongst one of the top sheikhs of the world in Abu Dhabi. But as I was in Istanbul airport, going to my gate, there were a few brothers heading for Umrah, and they spotted me from far and said, I think that's the uncle from Amazon. They actually turned around from their gate and came to say, we would like to take a picture with you. So
you nearly made people miss their flights,
maybe.
No, but it really had a global impact. You on that particular advert, in the way that the advert was, showing a collaboration between Islam and Christianity and humanity coming first.
Yes.
It really made a difference, an impact on people's lives, and it hopefully really gave a good image to Islam across the world as well.
I think it did, because when I was at the peace conference, the Americans who were there, including Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, he kissed my forehead. He said, Zubair, this is something unique for the Muslim people in America, what you have done. And at that time, if you remember, Mr. Trump was being elected as well as president. So it showed the good understanding between the two religions, alhamdulillah.
And the advert famously is about Christmas and exchanging of presents.
That's right.
And Christianity and Islam. And actually what happens is that you send each other a pair of knee pads. Do you have any knee pads, and do you use them, or was this just a way of getting people to think about Amazon, to buying things, and how did that feel?
Well, I have the knee pads. The knee pads are very comfortable for those people who want to pray salah. I'll tell you something, they are very comfortable when you go down in sajda. But yes, it's something that made an impact. I mean, the whole idea of Amazon was next day delivery. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. And I remember putting my finger on the telephone app almost for 2 hours, pointing my finger on the telephone app, but this is how they wanted it, absolutely perfect.
And did you do any other shows that after that? Were you offered any other roles, and what happened? Because automatically you were on the world stage at that moment in time.
Alhamdulillah, I was offered a BBC drama, which I turned down. I said, I'm not an actor. This was just something I did naturally, alhamdulillah. But the following year, I did a food collection drive with the East London Mosque, and myself and Gary were in London. Alhamdulillah, this was for the Christmas period for the homeless people. In one Friday collection, we raised more than 2.5 tons of food.
Fantastic.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And this was just because, and not only Christians came to give, the Muslims gave and the Christians gave. Between us, we got that much food. There was no one who went hungry that year in the homeless people in London. Alhamdulillah.
Very good indeed. And have you done any other work with Gary or any of the other Amazon, or have you still got a link with them in any way, shape or form? Or?
Well, I have a link with Gary. I've been to his school over Christmas. I went and spoke at his school at the Christmas assembly. He's always in touch with me, and we hopefully will invite him to our programs in Leicester as well, inshallah.
Is he a full-time actor?
No,
is he?
He is a full-time priest.
He's a full-time priest. Oh,
yes, yes. They actually went to his place of worship for location. And that's when he said, while he was showing them, they said, look, why don't you come? We're looking for somebody to act in this advert. That's how he came about.
That's how you came about?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
So they actually were using the premises, and they decided to use the actual priest as well?
Yes, alhamdulillah.
Very good indeed. And so you turned down the dramas, the BBC dramas, and anything else that you've turned down, or you decided that you're going to do something slightly different? Or?
No. I'm happy where I am in the borough of Oadby and Wixton. MashaAllah, the community is very well and thriving. My aim, inshallah, let's all make dua that we have our own cemetery in the borough of Oadby and Wixton. At the moment, this is a very big issue. As brothers and sisters are aware that the Leicester City Saffron Hill Cemetery is now filling up. And for people living in the borough of Oadby and Wixton, when their loved ones want to be buried in the city, they have to pay double the amount. Alhamdulillah, with the cooperation of the local councillors, we will inshallah secure
something in the future.
Yeah, inshallah.
The other question I wanted to know: what next for you now, Brother Zubair? You've done so many things so far in your life. You've done international stardom with your Amazon advert and being the Imam there. What are your next ambitions over the next few years? What are the things that you're coming up in the future now?
I don't see myself doing anything specific, but if I can serve the community in a better way, I'll try. And one of the things that I've got at the moment, which I'm trying to change, is the environment of the madrasas. I would like to bring a new syllabus in place where it's simple to learn, and also it's with supporting e-books, so you can download the app and use the same syllabus in the madrasa as well as at home. Alhamdulillah.
We've just got another message coming in. Which was the mosque used in the Amazon advert? So where was this mosque? And
It was the East London Mosque in Whitechapel.
It was East London Mosque in
Whitechapel. Yes.
Okay, excellent. If you've got any more questions, our telephone number is 0116 212 9324, or you can send us a text message on 07450 925084. You're listening to Radio Ramadan on EAVA 102.5 FM.
I would suggest that for those parents and masjids that are using madrasa syllabus, look at the one that we are using, which is simple. It's ieosa.com, iosa.com, and inshallah, should you wish to see it in action, come and see us at Muslim School Lord in Sanders Street, inshallah.
Okay, excellent. Brother Zubair, I'm doing another show on Tuesday between 6 and 7, and it's called Keeping Healthy Hour. It's especially dedicated this week to cancer and lung cancer and all forms of cancer. Please make sure you join us, and all the listeners out there, please make sure you join us. We're going to be talking about vaping, about shisha, about how to keep your lungs healthy, and just generally what signs you should keep an eye out for about cancer, whether it be cervical cancer or any other types of cancer. So please make sure that you listen into our show. It's on Tuesday between 6 and 7 o'clock, and we have some special expert guests coming into that show. Brother Zubair, you spoke earlier that Leicester's changed quite dramatically, and you look along Evington Road and some of the other roads now. When you think back to you were the first halal fish and chip shop, what makes you think about what Leicester is now in comparison, and how does it make you feel when actually there's a huge positive to it, but there's also some negatives to it as well, isn't there?
Of course. I mean, the positive side that mashallah we have loads and loads of halal takeaway places, and in the early years there was a handful only.
But they're also very different, aren't they? Because they're all foods from across the world now, rather than just
the local fish and chips. And I remember the only other takeaway shop in Leicester at the time was Ambala, where you could go and buy a kebab or something like that from him on Chatsworth Street. Yes. And one of the gentlemen who really helped us to set up in the early years was Ismail Bhai from the Ismail Food Center. He was the gentleman who helped, and we designed a burger, how to have the burger. You see, the English burger and to have an Indian burger was a very different makeup of it. I mean, today is different. It's very simplified and made easy way of doing things. But in those days, we had to find a way how to do the right burger, you see. But as I said, things have changed. I remember that in the days that I came, a tube of Smarties was 2 pence. Or 2p.
2p,
yeah.
Wow.
And today a tube of Smarties is about 45p. So what a difference it is. But I think today people are more aware about halal than they were in the early years. People used to have a lot of food with gelatin in it, not realizing that it's not halal. But alhamdulillah, today even the youngest child in madrasa would say, can I check the ingredients? Is it halal? You know?
And do you think that's helping? That really is helping, getting more halal on in restaurants, in places. If you go across the world now, a lot of places now, you can just Google now on Zibber.com and some various different other websites to find out where the local halal restaurant. Many times when I've been on holiday somewhere, I'll Google names and it comes up. So there is actually a desire, and there is a reason for people to look for halal, and it is available.
It is available, yes. There is a desire, and in fact, one of the first persons in the city of Leicester, Yusuf Abu Bakr, was one of the founders of the Muslim Food Board UK. He still has the office on East Park Road, and mashallah, his business is thriving today, alhamdulillah. And he's serving the community at large without us realizing what his impact is behind the scenes. So yes, halal food has become an awareness now, and as I said, with Leicester, you can see every corner place have got a new place, especially nowadays the dessert places are opening.
Yes.
A lot of dessert places opening up in the city.
And actually, I think companies have changed their stance because they want to be able to supply halal food.
Correct.
And they want that. So in order to make them give them a unique selling point, they are now advertising the fact that their food is a halal, or their product is halal, or is vegetarian friendly, and people are able to eat more and more varieties of food because of that. Because in the past they might have used gelatin and many different products, but they're beginning to stop, aren't they?
That's right, and they're also avoiding alcohol in some of the products, which in the past they used alcohol, E471, which was based with animal fat. That has been removed as well. So alhamdulillah, big change.
Big change.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask you, you went on this famous Hajj trip and you went via car. It took you 3 weeks. How did you manage for food? What did you do? Because not always in Europe or where you were traveling would you be able to get halal food. Did you survive on chips or sandwiches or cheese sandwiches, or what happened?
We actually took liquid egg with us. We could make egg in the car, in the caravan, straight away. And we bought bread that was available everywhere, bread, a lot of chapatis and things like that. But we took a lot of dry food, knowing that until we reach Turkey, we might have some issues. But alhamdulillah, even along the way we made sure we were fine. Alhamdulillah, we could get food wherever we stopped, because most of the time we stopped at petrol stations, which were catering for everything at the time.
Yeah, because the petrol stations in Europe are a bit more like supermarkets rather than just shops, aren't they?
Yes, not only supermarkets, you can park overnight, and you could actually rest overnight if you wanted to, and camp at petrol stations in and around Europe. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Fantastic. Yeah. You're listening to Radio Ramadan on EAVA 102.5 FM. I'm your host Zuffer, and we're joined by Brother Zubair Hassam, the famous Amazon Imam. The telephone number to call into the studio is 0116 212 9324, or you can text us on 07450 925 084. We've had another message coming in. Yes, you're right, Brother Zubair, about kids. I remember my youngest being about three years old, used to say everywhere he went, "I'm halal." So
alhamdulillah.
It's really important, actually, that we've instilled that, and actually, you've been able to instigate the change.
Alhamdulillah.
Instigate the change of not only people who are reading in the madrasas, but the international companies who are selling these products now, because they're also thinking, how can we make our product available? I mean, I was only in High Cross the other day, and many shops had signs on their windows, Ramzan Kareem,
yes.
Happy Ramzan, and these messages, you would not have seen that. Only 5 years ago, you would not have seen that. But certainly now, even in John Lewis,
yes.
they have Eid Mubarak,
yes.
and these are special Ramzan gifts.
Yeah.
So they okay, it might be commercial, but there's a huge positive element there. I feel really happy when I
No, definitely. There's a change in the approach from a lot of the big shops as well. You can see Asda, Morrison's, Sainsbury's, all of them know that the Muslim community are looking for halal products, looking for things to look for Ramadan. So you see, they're capturing that. They're capturing that business, but at the same time, it's made life easy for our people as well, that they don't have to go far. I mean, in the early days, I'm talking the 70s and 80s, to find a butcher, a halal butcher, was a big job.
And now you have one in Asda Oadby, a fresh halal meat butcher there.
Yes.
And I'm amazed,
yes.
when you think about where we were and where we are now.
Alhamdulillah.
It is huge.
It's made life easy for everybody, not just Muslims, but I think everybody who are also the non-Muslims are also looking at halal products which they know are better for them. So alhamdulillah, big impact, definitely.
And I think this is a huge step forward. And I actually, it's credit to people like you, Brother Zubair, that we've had a huge step forward over the last 30, 40 years, and things have moved in the right direction. And I think a lot of people should be more grateful to the pioneers of Leicester who came in and made sure these steps moved forward, because we've taken them for granted. People, my kids and many other kids, I think, and many other people from youth who live in Leicester and younger people who live in Leicester take it for granted, really. They can walk into a shop and buy halal food everywhere.
Yes. I think one of the things that also people must remember, in our early days when we opened the fish and chip shop, who was supporting us with pita bread, he and Muhammad Sabat. Leicester
Yes.
Bakery. He is still, mashallah, one of the most famous person who started naan, pita naan.
Pita naan.
And in the early days, he was the only halal pita bread supplier in UK. And mashallah, he has been in the background, one of the pioneers of halal pita bread.
Yeah, because it's amazing that all these things happened in Leicester.
Alhamdulillah.
You had the pita manufacturers.
Yes.
You had halal food moving forward, halal meat association
Yes.
moving forward, and these things are really vital to be able to do everything here, isn't it?
I think it's a credit to those people who came from African countries, like our parents. They came from Malawi, South Africa, Mozambique, Kenya, Uganda, and people who came from the African countries, they've had that
Work ethic.
Yes, you see, and I think they were very conscious of how they could serve the community at large as well, and they brought those changes here and made sure their children then fostered these changes. Alhamdulillah, and this is a blessing of our parents. Alhamdulillah.
Most people used to work 8 hours a day now. I'm pretty sure that generation, people like Muhammad Sabat and many others, the pioneers who really helped construct Leicester and made Leicester what it is today, were working 15, 16 hours a day.
Yes, I remember working 17 hours a day myself.
Yeah.
And just to make not to make ends meet, but I think we were there was so much demand that you had to just do it, you see, at the time.
It also takes dedication.
It does.
Dedication of good people to be able to move things forward. And at the time, you probably didn't think you were moving forward.
No.
But when you look back at it now,
Alhamdulillah.
huge steps forward by people like you, people like Muhammad Sabat, and many others who contributed to life in Leicester. And it's not only improved life for Leicester, it's improved life for the whole of the UK, because many of these people supplied across the country.
Yes, they do. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Big change, and that definitely made a difference to the community today. And I think the young people today take it for granted that they've got everything at their doorstep. If you think about it, I mean, they just have to walk outside and the nearest shop will have everything. Alhamdulillah.
And it's I've got to say that doing the adverts, doing everything else, what drives you brothers about? What is the big driver behind what you do? Because you've got to have a lot of dedication to be able to do this.
Alhamdulillah. I think this is a blessing for my parents, I would say. They gave us that, they instilled in us to bring change for the betterment for the community at large. And had it not been of our parents' guidance that you must serve the community at large, you don't have to look at whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims. And this is where my parents instilled in me and also my other brothers and sisters, and also we instill the same in our siblings. That drive to serve humanity at large, I think that's the biggest drive that one can have. And it's clearly that there is so much blessings from Almighty Allah in this, whatever we do. And there's so much gratitude that you get from people as well. Alhamdulillah. They'll come up and say, Jazakallah khair for what you've done. Alhamdulillah.
And do you get that from Muslims as well as non-Muslims?
As well as non-Muslims, yes. As well as non-Muslims. I remember when we set up the multicultural group in the Borough of Oadby in Wixton, going back almost 20 years ago, a few of the Christians would actually, even today, one of the pioneers, Albert Mosley, Reverend Albert Mosley, when since that day we have met to today, he has never missed sending me an Eid card. Just imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And this is his love towards me, showing that, look, that friendship we have continues to date. In fact, I go and visit him at his house from time to time.
Yeah, this is the whole point, that we're breaking down barriers.
Yes.
You want to create humanity, and that's your vital driver. And I think you've been, mashallah, extremely successul in doing that. And not just in one field, but many fields. And really proud to have you as a citizen of Leicester and Leicestershire, and being in Oadby is even better from my own personal point of view. And I hope you carry on doing all this good work.
Inshallah.
What would your message be for everybody here? What would you say that people should think about in the future?
I think don't be selfish. Give yourself some time for the benefit of others. Most important thing, serve the community wherever possible. Inshallah, Allah will reward everybody for whatever little that you do or I do. The reward is from Almighty Allah. And a clear message to everybody is that whatever little that you do, it will become big in the akhirah for us, inshallah. And what can I say? That we might not, I might not be back on the radio, but I think it's too early to say Eid Mubarak. But you know what?
You might as well.
I might as well say Eid Mubarak, because I might not be able to be back on the radio. But inshallah, I would say wherever possible, please join us at Oldby Mosque, inshallah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You're listening to Old is Gold. Please join me next week. It's been fantastic having you here, Brother Zubair. Really excellent. Please join me next week on Old is Gold.